100,000 of his men escaped to the continent. The momentum of the war had suddenly shifted to the Allies. Hitler and his seemingly invincible armies had now been defeated on battlegrounds in Africa and Russia. The dreams of a Pacific empire for Japan were beginning to set. And Mussolini's visions of conquest would soon turn nightmare. Italy itself will be the next battleground. This Mediterranean island is the stepping stone to Italy. Operation Husky is commanded by British General Montgomery, with General George Patton leading the American 7th Army. The Germans fight for a month before abandoning the island and leave behind 135,000 soldiers as prisoners of war. After the fall of Sicily, Benito Mussolini is removed from power. Called the most hated man in Italy, he is arrested and held captive. His ally, Hitler, sends a commando team to rescue him. Mussolini, now ill and powerless, is appointed the leader of a puppet regime in northern Italy. In September, Montgomery's 8th Army lands in Italy. A week later, American GIs hit the beaches along the Gulf of Salerno. With the Allies firmly entrenched, the new southern Italian government does an about-face and declares war on its former ally, Germany. Hitler's reprisal is quick and brutal. Nearly 2/3 of a million Italian soldiers find themselves German prisoners of war. Italy would not prove to be the soft underbelly of Europe the Allied leaders had hoped. The struggle for Italy lasts over a year as German commanders take full advantage of the mountainous and highly defendable terrain of the north. Not captured until June of 1944, but it is to the delight of the Italian people. Two days after the fall of Rome and the defeat of Italy, the final assault on Hitler's empire begins on the beaches of Normandy. The Allied objective is to recapture France by landing on its shores and driving the Germans back past the Rhine and to eventual unconditional surrender. Charged with defending the French coast is the Desert Fox. Rommel's strategy is to defeat the Allies on the beaches. It is here he declares that the war will be won or lost. Dismayed at the lack of preparation for an invasion, Rommel orders the construction of massive concrete fortifications. He also directs his engineers to line the beaches with barriers, mines, and traps. Rommel's counterpart in England is General Dwight Ike Eisenhower, who is placed in command of the Allied invasion. He has an army of some 3 million soldiers, sailors, and airmen. The first wave of landings alone will deliver over 175,000 troops to the beaches of France. It is the largest amphibious force ever assembled. June 6, 1944, the first Allied soldiers land on the beaches of Omaha, Gold, Juneau, Sword, and Utah. It is a battle that will later be called the longest day. By nightfall, the beachhead is firmly secured, with Allied troops again in France. Just as Rommel had predicted, the war had been lost on the beach within the first 24 hours of battle. As foot soldiers land in France from England, Allied bombers hit German targets. The British fly their missions at night to avoid heavy losses. The Americans fly daylight raids at higher altitudes. Though at more risk than the British, the American daylight bombing provides greater precision. The combination proves deadly, as the all but defeated Luftwaffe can no longer even defend Germany's cities. Seeking revenge, Hitler launches 2 new secret weapons against London. The V-1 is a gasoline-powered unmanned bomb, the world's first cruise missile. Over 2,000 of these buzz bombs fall on London. Even more terrifying is the V-2, a guided missile. Flying faster than the speed of sound, the V-2 gives no warning and cannot be shot down like the slower V-1. Over 1,000 V-2s rain down on Allied targets. As terrifying as the V-2 proves, it does not affect the invasion or the outcome of the war. By July 1944, 1 million Allied soldiers are on the European continent. They shoved the German army farther back towards the Rhine. In Paris, the French resistance is no longer an underground activity, as its members fight openly against the remaining German occupation troops. Eisenhower directs French and American troops to take the city. On August 25th, Charles de Gaulle and the rest of the Allied troops enter a freed city. By mid-September of 1944, the American First Army reaches the border of Germany. There is talk of ending the war by Christmas. In hopes of outflanking the German lines, General Montgomery proposes the dropping of 3 airborne divisions behind German lines in Holland. Operation Market Garden proves a major setback for the Allies as the paratroopers land in the midst of 2 panzer divisions and are cut to pieces. But Germany is now in serious trouble, as it is fighting wars on 3 fronts. The Russians to the east, Americans and British to the south from Italy, and French, American, and British troops from the west in France. The draft age in Germany is lowered to 16. In hopes of slowing down the Allied advance, Hitler plans for his final offensive, the Battle of the Bulge. In the midst of winter, the Germans amass 200,000 troops and attack a weak point in the Allied Western Front, held by some 80,000 Americans. The surrounded 101st Airborne Division is asked to surrender. The American reply is nuts. The encircled troops are rescued by Patton's Third Army, which arrives as a belated Christmas present on December 26th.